that wasn't too crazy, but like listening to some of the things that he thought and just how he saw certain things was, again, looking back, it's a red flag, He had this whole thing with this number 3 and how it was all tied into everything, and there's 3 of this, 3 of that, and it would times this by that, it's 3, and then like he whipped out this chart that he showed me that was like, it's hard to explain, almost like it kind of looked like a hopscotch board. It would get wider in certain spots and get narrower, and it was all numbers and color coded, right, if I believe so. And he showed that to me one day. I'm like, cool, man, I don't know what he's talking about, I was just being a good friend, just kind of, yeah, awesome. But yeah, again, looking back, it was something it was worrisome. Now, I don't know. Yeah, I remember a time where he told me about a story when he was pulled over by a cop. And he pulled over, hopped out of the truck, took his shirt off, and approached the cop. And he was still around, so he didn't get arrested, obviously. I don't know how that went from there, but I remember thinking that was, just take your shirt off, covered in tattoos, and approach a cop when he pulls you over. That was a red flag, And just run red lights. Who runs red lights? And just like, I'll be fine. No one does that. Probably about a month or 2 before his episode, he started, I remember he went to his tattoo artist, I believe. He gave him his dirty laundry, stabbed himself in the arm and said something to him. And then he told me this story about how, like, again, this is like right before his episode. This is probably like a week or 2 before his episode. He just told me about how he's like, I don't stop for red lights no more. He's like, no one's gonna hit me. I got it all figured out, kind of thing. He didn't really say it in those exact words, but that was insinuated.
Can you tell us about Joe's accident?
I don't remember exactly where I was. I believe I got this call from our old drummer, I believe. And then we went to go see him in the hospital. And I didn't know the details of the accident at the time. And then we went to go see him, and he just like wasn't in his right frame of mind. He was, again, looking back now, he was slipping towards the end, right before the episode, but then once I seen him in the hospital, after that, he was not. He was like on a different, I remember that. It was like, it was weird to see someone there, but not really there. I've never really seen that before. And, at 16 years old, and even today, like, I love to play music. That's what I love to do. So like, that was like my world, So like, when that happened, not only was I concerned for my friend, but like, everything we worked for and everything we're, going, trying to accomplish I knew that was all up in the air, and I just didn't know, up from down. It sucked, but, he's good now, thank God. But I was young, I find comfort in, like knowing that I was young and I didn't really know much, So it sucked to see someone just like fall apart like that, It sucked. I looked up to him, he's like an older brother type, so who am I to tell him, you know what I'm saying? I didn't think I was in a position to. I didn't really understand the weight of everything at the time. But I just wish I could, have said something, or at least talk to his parents, Gave him the heads up, was like, listen, I love this kid, he's slipping, It sucked. Like the last half a year it sucked. When you're looking at a crazy person, the lights are on, no one's home, that's what it was. And I remember our drummer at the time, he was just like, oh, well, and I'm like, no, this isn't right. I've never seen him like this. It was rough.
If you feel comfortable about sharing, are you willing to tell me what it was like when Joe was committed?
I remember when we showed up, again, I was a kid at the time, I wasn't driving. So I was driven there by our drummer. And we went in there and I saw his parents immediately. They were in the hallway. And they were kind of a mess, you know what I mean? And it was just rough. He wasn't, like, again, he just wasn't there. And I didn't know, I remember thinking at that time, I didn't know if he was ever gonna come back from that, like mentally. Because I know once you lose certain things, mentally, there's no coming back sometimes. So I worried about that. And I only visited him the one time. It was just, it wasn't cool. To be honest, there was a sense of relief in a way, because after that episode, things kind of came together. The red flags started piling up. You put them together, you're like, oh yeah, there's something there. So I was just happy that he was alive and getting help that he needed, you know? And then I remember when he moved with his parents, he moved to Ohio, and he came back and he was a little better. He was heavily medicated, but definitely mentally better. And then he came back like a year after that, I believe, and he was much better. And then I saw him probably about a year after that, and he was and it just got better and better. And just as a friend, you know, I was just so happy. You know, we were always close, and he would always call me. You know, we would talk on the phone all the time, and it was good to hear from him, because you could hear in his voice that he was so much in such a better place mentally, and with his parents. Because before the whole episode, he was living here in New Jersey by himself, so he wasn't only struggling mentally, but he was struggling financially, and, you know, driving like crazy back and forth to work, and, you know, practice wasn't where we practiced. It wasn't close to where he lived, so he was constantly traveling and all this. And it was good to hear from him, you know, in a good place, you know, healthy. You could hear it in his voice, you know. He was doing much better.
Are you willing to rehash a special moment you and Joe shared together?
Oh, a ton. Like I said, I don't know if I've never really said this to him, but there was way more good times than bad, you know. Again, we're both our sense of humor is we're a little out there, so we always got along on that level. So even when we butted heads, or, you know, there's any sort of craziness, like, we always, you know, he's one of my best friends, like, to this day, you know. I love this guy.
What amazes you about Joe, and what do you admire about him?
He's laser focused. He's got a drive to him that I wish I had, you know, to be honest, you know. Yeah, he gets ideas in his head. He gets his focused on a point, and he gets there, you know. I do that too, but slower. He gets there. He kind of puts his head down and knocks it out in like 2-3 weeks. Every time I see him, it's like, I did 50 more songs, and it's amazing. Check them out, and they're fantastic. So it's like, Jesus, Joe, this guy's he doesn't stop. He just keeps going. It's crazy.
I think he's gifted. He's kind of like you know, somebody who sees things differently than everybody else sees it. And I've been a musician all my life, and there's no way that I could possibly do what he does.
I think he is, when he puts his mind to do something, he's all in. He doesn't do it halfway, part way. He does it to the max. So he can be intense when, you know, he puts his mind to it. And he's a very good-hearted boy.
Yeah, he is. He's a good guy.
He's really kind and goofy and funny. Like, unpredictable, but in a really predictable way. Family-oriented. It's really nice. It's really nice.
And I said, look, Joey, you know what? You got to face your fears. You know, no matter how you do this, if you go out there and you win, I'm happy and proud. If you go out there and you don't win, but you do your best, I'm still happy and proud.